And we've got some more breaking news this morning about jobless claims last week. More than 3 million Americans filed for unemployment, the largest number of claims in U.S. history. It's at least quadruple the previous record set in 1982. The Senate has unanimously passed a $2 trillion stimulus plan. It now heads to the House for a vote. Chris Pallone is in New York with what's next.
Nearly 3.3 million Americans filed jobless claims last week, a dire snapshot of just how quickly the pandemic has devastated the nation's businesses and workers. But Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is reassuring the country that the economy will bounce back.
We will get the spread of the virus under control, and at that time, confidence will return, businesses will open again, people will come back to work.
On this vote, the yeas are 96. The nays are 0.
He spoke hours after the Senate reached agreement on a $2 trillion economic relief bill to help people and businesses blindsided by the coronavirus outbreak.
Our nation obviously is going through a kind of crisis that is totally unprecedented in living memory.
I'm damn proud of the work we did over the past few days.
The Senate bill would send direct payments to Americans whose earnings fall under certain limits. $1,200 checks for individuals, $2,400 for families, plus an extra $500 per child. It also includes loans for corporations and small businesses with incentives to keep workers on the payroll, relief for the nation's hospitals, and expanded unemployment benefits, which would mean 4 months of full paychecks for laid-off workers. The bill now moves to the House, where a vote is expected Friday. With one senator already confirmed to have coronavirus and another leaving the Senate late last night with an unspecified illness, the Senate is now adjourned until April 20th, meaning barring a call back for an emergency, there will be no more coronavirus legislation passed until late next month. In New York City, Chris Pallone, NBC News.
This morning, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin says people will be getting their money soon, within 3 weeks. So if you've gotten a tax refund in the last 2 years by direct deposit, that's where the money will be sent. And if not, the IRS will mail you a check. Bellevue police are asking for your help from the public this morning. They believe fears over coronavirus may have caused some people to turn against other members of the community, specifically Asian Americans, and they want to hear about it. King 5's Amy Moreno is outside Bellevue Police Headquarters this morning to explain. Amy?
Yeah, Bellevue's police chief said they've heard some alarming reports about members of the community being harassed, targeting members of the Asian community over here in Bellevue, possibly because of the coronavirus. And they want Asian Americans to report that if that's happening to them. Chief Steve Milet says the department has heard through social media and other channels that community members are becoming targets of hate crimes and being blamed for COVID-19, but very few police reports have been filed. In fact, they've only gotten one since January. The chief says they want to protect the community from this kind of harassment, but they have to know about it.
There's no place for that in this community. The bigoted comments, keep them to yourself. Nobody's to blame. No one person in this country is to blame for COVID-19. We are in this together. COVID-19 does not discriminate based on race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, or anything else.
If someone is actively threatening you, call 911. If the situation is over, you can call the non-emergency line to make a report or go online to bellevuelaw.gov. Excuse me, Bellevue's chief says he's convinced this is happening here and there's no place for it. He wants this harassment reported right away. We're live in Bellevue. Amy Moreno, King 5 News.
All right, Amy. Well, the State Department of Health says it's having some problems getting us the full report of what's happening right now because it's had a 10-fold increase in the number of lab reports. But in the meantime, here are the best estimates this morning. 132 people have died in our state from coronavirus. That's about 2,500 cases. 93% of people tested are testing negative. 80% of those deaths are people over the age of 70. People who have symptoms but don't need to be triaged immediately could soon be tested in a tent outside the ER. UW Medicine is working to open this site at Harborview by April 1st. Video here shared to us from the UW. They tell us this will help them increase the number of people they treat for coronavirus.
So there's efficiencies if we can cohort patients with similar illnesses in one location, making sure at the same time we're being safe at the same time.
UW Medicine says someone who is really sick and needs to be hospitalized will be sent inside the hospital. A new study from the University of Washington is clearing the way for a potentially easier way to test for coronavirus. Self-testing. The study says self-sampling for the virus can be just as accurate as if it were collected by medical workers. The FDA has actually updated its guidelines to allow this kind of testing. The study suggests it could help keep healthcare workers safe and also cut back on the use of valuable masks and shields where supplies are now dwindling. Mimi?
Jake, rumors are circulating about enforcement during the stay-home order that is now in place for Washington. To verify this information, we have the following message from State Trooper Thorson.
Hello, Trooper Thorson with the Washington State Patrol. They wanted to quash some rumors going around Washington State that troopers are specifically stopping cars to question and interrogate people about where they're going or what they're doing, or if they're essential employees. That is not true.
And Trooper Thorson also dispelled the myth about our state's borders. He says borders with Idaho and Oregon remain open. They are not conducting checkpoints. I know a lot of you have questions about what's open, what's closed, what's essential, what's non-essential. We're expecting to learn more about Governor Jay Inslee's stay-home order later this morning. He is set to hold a news conference at 11 o'clock, and you can watch that right here on King 5.
Well, fear and uncertainty, Mimi, it's exactly what criminals are preying on right now. It's what they're hoping for, and they're getting a lot of it right now during the pandemic. King 5's Chris Ingalls is reporting this morning that health officials and federal authorities are getting more reports of crime because of COVID-19.
The Seattle FBI says it's received 34 complaints in Washington about possible COVID-related scams, most of them coming to people through their computers or their cell phones, hitting them where they live, holed up in their homes.
You're saying that Silver solution would be effective.
Televangelist Jim Baker may be the best-known example so far. The FDA called him out for hawking an unproven, unapproved coronavirus cure for sale on his religious television network.
It's just naked opportunism. I mean, the bad guys don't get any less bad when times are tough.
Brian Moran, United States Attorney for the Western District of Washington, says scams in all forms are taking shape and his prosecutors are taking action.
We're stepping it up. These people are who would take advantage of anyone, particularly the elder at his time, are really despicable and deserve the full measure of our attention, and they're going to get it.
This Austin, Texas-based website has been making the rounds, offering free World Health Organization coronavirus test kits if you pay the $4.95 shipping fee. The feds say it's a fake and shut it down.
I looked it up today. I've seen 34 complaints come into our Internet Crime Complaint Center.
FBI Seattle Financial Crime Supervisor Ethan Vai says one criminal is disabling people's computers and demanding ransom.
We saw some malware out there, so they would put out these maps to track the virus, and people would click on them, and all of a sudden there's malware downloaded on their phones or their computers, which get locked up.
If you have that kind of problem, the feds want to hear from you. File a complaint with the Federal Disaster Fraud Hotline at 1-866-720-5721, or use the Justice Department's coronavirus website, which is full of information. We'll put a link to it in this story at king5.com. Also, some quick advice. I know you've heard this before, but don't ever give your personal or financial information to anyone over the phone or on a website that you can't trust. Also, never click on any unknown websites or links. Chris Ingalls, King 5 News.